Streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts with Brad and Jay.
We'll just get this out of the way here. Thanks for joining us on Brad's show.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my show. I did not say shenanigans. Okay.
Are you drinking already?
No, I've just got water. Always looking smooth, aren't you?
Yeah, I do it. I try to clean up for the show. Look, one of us has to. Come on.
Michael Clark, come on down. You're the next contestant on Paper Cut. We are live.
I don't know what that was. Sorry.
What was that intro, Jay?
I don't know. Dude, it was a rough day. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Paper Cuts. All right. Over there, along with me, as always, is Bradford. That's enough about him. My name is Jay. Tonight we are
Bradford the third.
The third. You put your pinky up when you drink a little bit.
Third, yeah.
Yeah. Tonight we're joined by the dude that's been deemed the king of swag.
Mm-hmm.
You may know him from as the writer of The Patience of a Dead Man, the trilogy. He also put all of those books into one big giant door stopper. I mean, that sucker's just thick. Stephen King, eat your heart out.
It's got nothing on it.
People still use it as a door stopper. That's how big it is.
That's going to be on. That's on the back cover. If you don't like it, use it as a door stopper.
Yeah, just turn it over. It says door stopper.
Exactly. He's back with a brand new book, Hell on High, and we never thought he'd come back after the infamous Halloween episode, and we're going to probably talk about that here shortly. Everyone, welcome to the show, Michael Clark.
Mike, what's going on, man?
Thank you. And I don't know why they call me the king of swag. I really don't.
Not at all. Not at all.
I don't know if I'm the one that came up with king of swag, but I call you that all the time.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you
are
did.
the king of
and
swag.
I like it. But I just don't want people to forget that I also write.
On the side.
You definitely
want some
earned
free
that
stuff?
title, though.
Go to Mike.
Yeah.
The Halloween show, I had a great time, and that was where I met Christina, who is in the chat. Hello, Christina. And we share a birthday, and it's February 12th, which is 2/12. And the other day I realized, like for the first time in 57 years, that 2/12 is the boiling point of water.
Uh-oh.
So that's kind of cool.
Dun, dun, dun. Coming spring of 2024 from Michael Clark. Boiling water.
The boiling point of water.
Boiling point.
I don't know.
Boiling point, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That Halloween
Trueborn
episode.
Design into boiling point design.
Yeah. The Halloween episode, I lost some oxygen during that show, and there's been some long effects about that. So
You may go ahead and pull it
like
up.
The girl in Goldfinger. So you
I don't know. It's kind of early to put. Do you want to go to the video already, Brad?
we can do it later. We'll tease it and they can do it later.
Okay.
I want to pop this comment up first because he's asleep right now. We'll say hello to our buddy Ross Jeffrey from over the pond.
Hi Ross, I'm whispering because you're asleep.
He should have his playing on his phone next to his pillow.
He should.
Yeah.
Was it the REM sleep and you can adjust it better or whatever?
Yeah, he'll wake up knowing everything we talked about,
That's right.
and he'll stop smoking. I don't know if he smokes or not.
And he'll have an American accent.
Exactly.
Christina remembers the Halloween episode.
So Ross brings up something to go back to his comment about the piracy. I mean, can we get into that? Because I've been kind of following this all week, and like I don't know if I'm just dumbfounded, amazed, shocked, or what. But what is there an update? I know I read some of your blog.
I mean, it's like by the hour. There's new
Yeah.
stuff all the time. My first reaction was it's Amazon. Like they just. I deal with in my regular job, Gannett, which is they own USA Today, newspaper company, and like this customer service is just you wouldn't believe what you have to do to get what you want to get. And I think that Amazon is falling into that same thing. They're too big, and I don't know, post-COVID, like people don't want to work or whatever it is. I don't know. But so I thought it was Amazon for the longest time. And even though now in the last 5 hours, a friend of mine clicked through on Amazon on the Hell on High listing with no picture, like a high school friend named Desiree. Thank you, Desiree. Clicked all the way through and bought the book. it says your order should be delivered March 17th to March 23rd, something like that. And then it says sold by blah, blah, blah. And I can't tell you that right now because, they're going after them.
Right.
So I think there was a pirate, and, but the really scary thing is that Amazon let him in.
Yeah.
And they won't talk to the publisher, Brigids Gate Press, which is like, Steve Vassalo must. I can't believe he still has a beard. It must. Why would it fallen out? The level of frustration.
It's gotten grayer and whiter. I think maybe this week.
He should be bald.
Yeah.
He said today on, like, we were direct messaging. He said he was going to dress up as Batman and go to Amazon with a Louisville Slugger. And I totally, I want to be Robin. I will go. It's just, the level of frustration in customer service is just unbelievable. And Amazon must be, they're so susceptible because they're just vulnerable. They don't know. There's 3 departments. One doesn't know what the other one's doing. You got to talk to this one. This one doesn't, you can't call. You got to email. They'll get back to you. They need 5 days to look at everything. I think you might have read the thing I posted.
Yeah, I read your blog post.
That's like, 80-90% of where we are today, except that now we see the name of the person or the company that's selling the books. And so, yeah, I was pirated. And I think I deserve a Stoker Award for that.
Give the man a Stoker Award.
Let's do the write-in right now. We'll do the write-in.
Extreme Patience Award.
Yeah, it's got to be. I would be I'm sure you're totally pissed. I'd be totally pissed off how a company this big allows just some Joe Schmo on the corner, and I don't know if this is the truth or not, but submit the story as the publisher of it or whatever the case may be. There's got to be some kind of checks and balances somewhere to make sure this is legit.
All it takes is for somebody like Brigids Gate put up the ebook in January.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's hooked up to their account. If somebody buys that, they had to put in a bank routing number so that they get paid, when it releases. Somebody else puts up the same title. It's linked to my author profile, MJ Pankey, the editor's profile, the cover artist, Mateus Roberts' profile. It's all one thing. And then nobody looks to see where that bank routing number goes, kind of a thing. And then Brigids Gate goes to put up the paperback, and there's already a paperback because, it was like, I don't know how many hours before they beat Brigids Gate to it, but it was pretty tight. And it should be like a quick fix.
Right. But it's
then they not only did they, delete the book, they deleted all the pre-sales. And we've been pushing this. 99-cent pre-sale. It's a pretty good deal, right?
Yeah.
It's a 461-page book. And a lot of it's, white
we've
space.
been advertising it and stuff, and you got the swag about it.
Yeah, and it's like not about the money
things
because I'm splitting money with Brigids Gate and Amazon, So let's just say, I'm going to get 33 cents, right? Who cares, about the money? It's really, I was looking forward to saying like 2 months in, 3 months in, 6 months in, 2,000 sold or something like that. Just like a
just to have a number, to get up there, rub elbows.
And now, there's no way to remind those people, everybody, and some people will be confused and what is this, a scam? Did I lose $1? It's just it's unfortunate, and it's Amazon's fault. They're letting pirates in.
I'm really curious if the person that did buy the book, when it comes, if it's actually going to be your story or just something else that's called Hell on High, and they just stole all your stuff.
Well, what we think is that we send out a lot of ARCs, and
I was going to ask about the ARCs.
Yeah, they've been out for a while, since say January or whatever. I don't remember exactly when. And they told me, try to go ahead and all the ARCs you can get. I go, well, what's the limit? Because you give out 1 million ARCs, then 1 million people don't have to buy the book, kind of a thing. She goes, well, anywhere between 50 and 100 or something like that. I got 100, right? I'm like, I'm going to just, let's follow this plan, this sales plan. The more reviews you get, the better, the more momentum, that kind of thing. So I got 100, and then they put it on NetGalley. I don't know how many went out on
I did see it on NetGalley. I didn't get it from I got it from you, but I saw it on NetGalley.
Yeah, but I don't know have any statistics about how many went out. So it could, let's just say 200, right? There's somebody in there could have used one of those digital copies and uploaded it. But I think I told Brad before the show started, I'm looking at this this company that pirated it, and like they have a Yelp page, and there's it's 115 reviews, and the average is 1 star. And then you look at there's 15 photos or something, and it's an unclaimed Yelp page too. And there's pictures of the books, and the books are like cut wrong and pages coming out and whatever, so they're putting out crap. They're stealing the material. They also have a Twitter profile that has 13 followers, no avatar, no tweets.
Probably.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question, and you might not know the answer to this, but I see it with a lot of indie pubs for when they do pre-orders on Amazon. It's usually just the ebook only, and the paperback they don't do pre-orders for. Is there are you not allowed to upload the paperback until right before the release date?
I do see a lot of pre-orders for
paperback. There is this I self-publishing. I remember that you upload it and they're gonna go live kind of thing, unless you set a, I don't remember all the things, but there's no reason to put it up because you're not going to sell it. So I think that there's a time limit. They say, it could be 72 hours or something like that before. It might take us 72 hours to put your book up once you upload it.
Right.
And then the day, I was going to do mine, the first book, Patience of a Dead Man, on April 21st or something. And then, I upload it and it's live in 6 hours. I'm like, holy shit. They're all over the place. So
they don't give you obviously, bigger publishers like Stephen King's book, I've already pre-ordered it and it doesn't come out till August. Is that not the same for smaller presses? Upload it and you can pre-order it and it doesn't come out till months later? Yeah, you might not know.
I don't really know, as far as the.
I was just curious about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to get out of that. I'm so glad. It's just, I barely can get to sit down and, with your regular life and your dog and your wife and your job and everything. I barely, and I'm the kind of writer that I need to sit down for, a chunk of time. I can't, hey, I got a half an hour, but I'm right back into it. No, I gotta decompress and get in the mood and put some, creepy music on and all that crap. There's not enough time in the day to do all that crap. I didn't make money doing it the first time around. I give away a lot of swag and, try all the avenues and write them off for taxes. So, don't feel bad, but it's not a money-making business. If you're a guy or a woman that can, there's some people that can sit down and bang out 11,000 words a day, and then they can write 3-4 novels a year. And that ain't me. I can't do that. And so I'm going to be the guy that, it's been 3 years for this one, I got stuck in the Silver Shamrock waiting line for 7 months. So that was 7 months of that was that. But, this was, I consider this my sophomore book, and I didn't want to have a sophomore slump. So I put it through the paces, first couple beta readers were oh, that's not as scary as Patience of a Dead Man. And I'm like, it was a whole learning process, because I realized finally I don't sit down to say, I want to write action, adventure horror. I want to write a haunted house story. I realized that it was a haunted house story, Patience of a Dead Man, and that there's a tension to that the ghost can be around the corner anytime, and but if you're writing about the dead bodies at the top of Mount Everest, and you're not at the top of Mount Everest, you're not going to see the dead body. So it's a little bit, it's a different tension. And I think I'm getting off track here.
Right. I want to
No,
come
you're-
back to that. What you were just
Yeah.
saying about that. I just wanted one more because I don't want to beat this whole Amazon thing into the ground because I mean you're living it right now.
I'm
I
not
mean,
stressed
just,
about it. So if you want to talk about it, I
what,
mean,
I was just going to say. I mean, it's just a fine example of how like this big giant company. I mean, we're kind of handcuffed because we're bitching and complaining about their process and their customer service and how they're not looking out for the smaller person, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who can't live without them to begin with because of the services they provide. So it's like a catch-22. You're kind of screwed,
Yeah.
because they're there. And
I
it's just
know.
a
I know.
fine
Like
example of a big company that's kind of ruling the world. So
I know. I like this is the first time I've ever felt like, damn, I'm addicted to Amazon and I don't want to be. I haven't gone Christmas shopping in 4 years. It's just all delivered to the front door. And then they throw in the Amazon Prime Video and all that stuff, and I mean everything you do in life. Well, if I have to go to Staples for a box of envelopes, that's a minimum half an hour of your life or
Right.
of your work day. So that if you can wait 2 days and order ahead, what a value. But man, like I don't know if you feel this way, but post-COVID, everybody sucks. Like it's a
Thank you, everybody.
restaurant.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Everyone
Well,
sucks.
I mean, have you been to a restaurant like
All
since?
suck. Right. Yeah.
And like I remember one, like they're so bad that I wanted to get let's say you want to get another beer or get dessert or something, and you're like, nah, let's just get out of here because it's going to take them a half an hour. So it's that kind of thing. And I know that like Amazon just built a plant like not a mile away from me. It's a brand new, shiny, brand new, big white plant with a blue stripe across it.
Yeah.
And
I have one
they're
like
taking their sweet time. They chewed up the road because they had to put all new piping and everything for this thing. I mean, I'm talking about miles of like a rural route, like Route 125 here in Massachusetts, and they're delaying it. They just don't care. And it's they're too big, and God, this KDP, and it's not only is it KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, but it's I forget the other department. Anyway, these three departments don't get together and fix the issues. I don't know if they got one guy in there in each department in India, that's like, pulling his hair out and doesn't give a crap. I don't know.
Take a look in the chat and look at each name and tell us if the person who did this is in the chat right now.
It was William Sterling. William Sterling.
That's who I was leaning towards. I was going to say,
William
there
did
we
it.
go.
So, by the way, if Amazon's listening, you could sponsor this episode. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Damn it, there without sponsorship.
Sponsorships. Just
if they're listening to you, give me their number because they're not listening to me.
Yeah, because I ordered a small fine screwdriver set that came today, but it did not come. It shows it came today, but I actually got the back plastic part of the cover. That's all I got. No screwdrivers. There's like a 6 screwdriver set of like those really small screwdrivers.
Just empty.
Yeah, it did have the front cover. No screwdrivers, just a back plastic piece. And I'm trying to do a return, hey, I didn't get this item, and they keep saying return that. I'm like, you want me to return a piece of plastic?
That happened
I don't
to me.
get it.
It was a little thing of lipstick.
Yeah,
and it wasn't my color. No, just kidding.
It didn't match the eyes. I mean,
yeah.
Lana says hi, and I'm telling you offline, Mike, that she was over at Steve talks about books recommending Patience of a Dead Man in his chat earlier.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Awesome.
We'll go ahead and answer William's question.
Yeah,
so we don't make him upset. Do you listen? Do you have a go-to creepy music playlist?
I do, and let me just click a couple things here. I'm gonna open up my Spotify, and I've named I made like a.
Go ahead and play it so we can get.
Yeah, I will. It's
get shut down by YouTube.
It's 836 songs. So the first one, it's 40 hours. Ready? I search for Mike's ambient movie soundtracks. If
Everyone's
that's
grabbing their phones real quick.
And if you can, I'll share it with you. Like I can share it, but that's it's just it's like stuff with no words, you know, no lyrics. So
Mhm.
you can concentrate and you know, set the mood. Helps me.
Do you always need music to write, or does it just kind of depend on your mood?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I kind of get sick. I don't know how they shuffle their songs because think I've heard Psycho too many times. But but it's good. I mean, you know, like especially if you're in an intense scene and the right song comes on, I really think it helps.
Mhm.
You know, like you really need to be like in the zone, I think, to get some of those chapters down. Some chapters are more important than others too.
So let's talk about this infamous book that is so hot that people needed to pirate it and sell it
Pirate it.
themselves. So you mentioned earlier, I wanted to go back to, you sent out some beta readers and they responded that it was not as scary as Patience of a Dead Man. Is that something you set out to do to make it a scary, or do you want to make it totally different, you know, and go a different direction? What was your intentions with the whole book itself?
Well, I love scary, so like you know, like just you know, I'll name a couple of movies: Sixth Sense and say Silence of the Lambs. A couple of my favorite movies. They're may not even be called horror movies. You know, it's more of
Right.
like a psychological or atmospheric kind of a thing.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
was that? I missed
I
it.
said psychological too when you said it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I go for. And a couple things happened with this book. One, the first thing was, you know, I go by like if I see something and it kind of chills me, you know, if I get a thought, it's like I'll give you an example. Um, recently, I read that they just rediscovered or discovered the sunken ship that sunk in the near Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
Mhm.
was this boat that got stuck in the ice and uh,
Is that
Endurance,
what
I
the
think it was called.
is that what the Terror is based off of? Is it that boat?
What's the name of the book?
The Terror by Dan Simmons. Is it based off that
I
boat?
don't know. It's I think the real name of the ship is the Endurance, if I'm not mistaken. And they found like what happened was that these people, you know, in the 20s, I think it was, sailed down to Antarctica, got stuck in the ice. The ice, you know, they had to live on the boat, kind of like a just a desolation kind of a thing.
Mhm.
The ice eventually crushed the boat and it sunk. And then recently somebody found the boat and it hasn't really deteriorated very much because the water's so cold and the algae's different down there and the sea life and everything. And there's something really creepy to me. I would mention Titanic too, but everybody thinks of, you know, Kate and Leo about a sunken
Yeah.
ship. Yeah, I know. Like,
And I've never seen the movie, by the way.
I remember watching that in elementary school.
I've yet to see the movie.
well, just to let, I saw that when my parents came to babysit my kids. So I think I'm 3 years older than you. No, just kidding. Yeah, there's something creepy about a sunken ship to me. Like any place that's hard to get to, like the top of Mount Everest
Mhm.
you know, imagine that you're scuba diving down to a sunken ship and you know, it's dark and all of a sudden your light finds it. It's almost like a big fish underneath you. It's something that creeps me out about that. So anyway, I look for these little feelings and then try to build a story around it. And one of these feelings was dead bodies on Mount Everest. You know,
Mhm.
like I mean, I love Mount Everest stuff. It's hard to get there, and when you do, you're gonna see some shit.
Yeah.
You know, there's bodies that were left up there, and they're landmarks. So, and then my cousin-in-law, who's a Brazilian woman, she said that there's like I like black magic too. It's just I think I like ghosts and black magic. Those are my two favorites. And
Mhm.
she said there was some funky stuff that was going on in Brazil. So I don't know. I put the two together, and I ended up with a Brazilian heroine that had to flee Brazil and immigrate to the United States illegally, and that's another you know hellish journey too. And everything in the book, my book, Hell on High, is based on real things. You know, I watched a bunch of videos, I read a book or two, including American Dirt, which you know was criticized for you know written by a white woman and that kind of thing. Uh,
Mhm.
and she made some commentary that she probably shouldn't have. Um, anyway, I put it all together, and it's just a hell of an adventure. Like
Yeah.
it starts in Brazil, goes to the United States, and then basically this Brazilian heroine is has a talent for hiking and has the opportunity. She meets the right people to become the first woman to climb Mount Everest. So it's like 1971 to 1973 in the book. And did I answer the question? Like that's the fun.
I thought it was funny in the book, like the first mountain she goes up, not to give too much away, but like the guy sponsoring her or whatever offers to pay her like $1,000. I was like, that's it? That's all she gets is $1,000. But I remember it's back in the 70s, so it's probably a lot more back then.
Yeah, I had to Google all that. I forget what what it is, but it's pretty good, like it's
Yeah.
the houses were like 20 grand or something back then, So I Googled all that stuff just to fact check.
I've heard about Mount Everest and leaving the dead bodies there as landmarks, basically. But I've always found that fascinating. It's like, how far did you get this time? I got to Dan. Next time I'm going to try to get to John. It's just kind of.
Well, yeah, and there was like a famous one. I think the guy's name was Sharp. There was an English guy that climbed up. He's all by himself. He goes up by himself. He probably like missing a piece up there, because you don't do that. I mean, the Sherpas carry everything for everybody.
Yeah.
And you're basically dying when you get to a certain point on that mountain. If you're over, I think it's 24,000 feet, you are dying, and you cannot stay there. You have to get up or get out.
Uh-huh.
So this David Sharp, he finds like a little cave, and it's night. When they summit, they have to like wake up at 11 o'clock at night and then go for 18 hours. They wake up at Camp 4, 11 o'clock at night, time to go, pitch black, climb up the mountain, hit the peak if they do, and then come all the way back down and get to Camp 4 again, which is right below that death zone. So it's like a hellish day. He gets to this cave and sits in there. And Google David Sharp, you'll see him. He's sitting there, and it's like his knees are tucked up against his chest. And then a chain of people just, hike past him because they can't really help him, and he's alive, but he doesn't live. Just eerie as hell. And then there's a guy, I think he was right next to a guy whose nickname was Green Boots, and people didn't even know who Green Boots was for years.
So I was going to ask you, because didn't you were on another show the other day and mentioned him. I was going to ask if they know the names of all these bodies that are on the mountain.
Well, they think they know. I think the Green Boots was an Indian hiker. I forget his name, but and then he went missing. Like that's another kind of creepy thing. Like I know the Chinese, the Tibetan side of the mountain has cleaned up the dead bodies, but the Western side has not. But he went missing. Like Green Boots went missing. So that's kind of creepy to me. I mean, they're hard as a rock. They're sitting there. There's a snowdrift blowing over their body. Their coat is faded from the sun, and it inspired me to write it for sure.
Yeah, because they don't. It's so cold they don't decompose or anything, so they look pretty much as is for the most part. I would assume. I'm sure some wear from the elements and stuff, but
there was a German woman that was like, she died sitting up against her backpack, and then the backpack disappears, and she's still sitting there in that weird position, and then her head became a skull, with that's the wild. Elements, So
someone took the backpack.
Yeah, it had a candy bar in it.
Yeah.
So was it hard for you to put those two together? The escape from Brazil all the way to Mount Everest, to connect those together, or was that?
It took a while. Yeah, it did. And like some early beta readers, like a couple of friends of mine, Aaron and Sherry, were like, like, what are you doing? And then I go, you don't like Mount Everest? You're not fascinated by Mount Everest? I'm like, and they're like, no, I don't. I hate mountain climbing. I'm like, shit. Like I was bumming. Hey, it's Nikki. I'm glad you dropped by. So yeah, like, I'm like, I'm not going to release this. I remember even talking to you, Brad, at one point, like, you're like, don't rush it. And I'm like, I'm not going to rush it. So, then I went to, Well Red Beard at one point, and he, gave it a thorough thing, and he was a little harsh on it too. And so I'm like, okay, but we changed it a lot.
Yeah.
Erica too, she read a very early version, and then Well Red Beard was after her, and then finally I end up at Brigids Gate, and then I had a fantastic editor, MJ Pankey. I hadn't heard of her before. And I don't know, we just worked together great or something, and she didn't know who I was either, and she's like, do this, do that, do that, and called me out on a couple of things that were bothering me too. Like, she's like, da da da. I'm like, oh my God, so anyway, I took my time. I don't think any book is gonna take that much time again, to be honest with you, but it was like, it was important to me to get the second story. I know it's my fourth book, but second story right. It is kind of different, but you are not going to know what's happening. That's most important for me. And I think I delivered on some scary scenes, but you're going to also see kind of a loving relationship between two sisters.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the driving point of the whole thing, is the relationship between the two sisters.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that like wasn't completely gelled. You know what I mean? Like, they had to help me, like, that wasn't like the common thread through the whole thing for a while. And then through this, constructive criticism, they corrected me, and it is what it is today because of that.
So with your first 3 books, did you have that same sort of constructive criticism like you did with Hell on High, or was it completely just you solo since you were self-pubbing those?
No, I was completely solo. I was, like stupid, cocky, like kind of like this is the best story in the world. Like, I lived on that property, and it's scary. And, I've been waiting 52 years to write it, or, whatever, like, I'm like, this is what I've been missing in the movie theaters, like, it's always rehashes and stuff. So I'm like, this is new. It's original. It's scary. And, then there was some wake up calls, like Mother Horror did a book party, and didn't go the way I wanted it to go. But all in all, I think it was a success, and
it's got like 200 plus reviews or something on Amazon, doesn't it? At least the first book does.
Something, yeah. Like, and maybe even, I don't remember. I haven't looked in a little while, but
and didn't you like redo? There's a couple different versions, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm constantly tweaking it, and well, not still, but I would go back again if somebody wanted to.
So I remember I got the first copy, and I think it was you, Brad. We were going back and forth. I was like, well, what's on your page 162? Something's not right here.
Yeah,
it was going back and forth, trying to match them up. And I'm like,
somebody asked me, I think it might have even been Nikki. I don't remember, but somebody likes to listen to the audiobook and read at the same time, which I've never heard of. Yeah. And she's like, it's not matching. I'm like, who does that? and readers do, that, like, I'm not a prolific reader, and I'm kind of like, I'm writing this book because I can't direct a movie, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, I would rather be a director. But it's too late. There's too much to it. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do. And you need to use somebody else's money. So I'm like, well, I'm going to write a story, and maybe someday I'll be like a Paul Tremblay and have M. Night Shyamalan, make my movie.
Or somebody better.
See, look, Christina and Lana both say they listen to audiobooks and read at the same time.
Yeah. Are you planning an audiobook for the new one?
I want to, and I need to double check with Brigids Gate. I think they said I could do that, and I even like Googled a Brazilian voice actress.
I was going to say, because there's a whole different language in it. That's kind of, I couldn't do it. I mean, because there are words there. I'm like, how do I pronounce this? Just reading into my head, So, yeah.
You mean the Portuguese in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
not going to hire you.
Yeah.
You are not. You're not going to be the reader.
Well, Heather's.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Heather's giving you permission to do the audiobook.
No, I think this would have to be a Brazilian woman because the main character is a Brazilian woman, and I was writing the story, and then all of a sudden, American Dirt. I'm pretty sure it happened like while I'm writing it that American Dirt, or at least the news blew up that it was taking heat because I think her name is Janine Cummins who wrote it. She's a white woman, and she even came out and said, well, my husband's an immigrant. And then it turned, and she writes about Mexico. It's about crossing the Mexican border. Mexicans, like, there's a cartel shootout, and they have to escape Mexico and cross the border illegally. Mm-hmm. And then along the way, she makes commentary about the Mexican government, and she makes some, commentary about skin color and everything. And the internet blows up because Oprah picks it, as her choice. And then, oh my God. And then it turns out Janine Cummins' husband is an immigrant, but he's an Irish immigrant. So it's got nothing to do with Mexico. And I understand that. But meanwhile, I'm shaking in my boots because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a gringo. My wife.
That's the whole purpose for the why Brazil at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to mention that. I mean, that forward, it's probably one of my favorite forwards. I mean, if you count as a forward, I mean, it was just really raw and open and passionate. Like I read it, I was like, that's some passion there.
There's I love Brazil. I mean, my wife we've been together 23 years. She's my second wife. And not that matters, but I've been in Brazil more than, when you add up all the trips, more than a year of my life. And I can speak Portuguese like a kid, I can order you an omelet or, show you where the bathroom is. And, I wanted to just, something terrible happens. Obviously it's a horror book, and unfortunately it kind of reminds me of Turistas, but it's based on the movie Turistas, but it's a real episode. It's based, like, I looked for my cousin Renata, it was on the show the other night, the book launch, told me that there's some creepy black magic stuff going on in the northeast of Brazil. And I look up this incident, which had to do with children getting killed, and which I'm not into, shocking people with, too many things like children or, stuff like that. So I took the children out of it, and I kind of based my thing on what was going on. And so it's based on an incident rather than a country. I mean, we could write about, school shootings in the United States or whatever, that kind of thing. Something happens bad everywhere. So something bad happens in Brazil. But my heroine is Brazilian, and I'm proud of her. And, I love her. I like the country. Love the country.
How much research did you do into Macumba and everything?
Well, I'm gonna recommend, if you go to my blog, I just posted it today, my michaelclarkbooks.com. I posted something that Erica was a part of the other night. It was the book launch party for Hell on High, and I invited a friend of my wife. I've known her for 21 years. Her name is Jeanette Velke, and she practices Macumba. And there are like 3 or 4 sects or branches of Macumba. One of them is white magic. One of them is the bad stuff, and or 2 of them are the bad stuff. And it's really kind of complicated. And even Brazilian people, as Jeanette will say in this video, are confused and they just boom, Macumba, But so I referred to her quite a bit. But as far as like personal experience with Macumba, like I've seen it. Like you can be driving by, like they have a thing where they lay out like a little picnic blanket with Brazilian cachaça, which is their rum, sugarcane rum, and then like candles and offerings and herbs and stuff. And they leave it at a crossroads, and there's a whole method to the whole thing. And you'll be like stopped at a stop sign and like, oh, there's some Macumba, or on New Year's Eve, like New Year's here sucks because it's cold. But in Brazil, it's awesome because you go to the beach, and what people do there is they dress in white and they throw white flowers into the ocean. The Macumba worshippers to Iemanjá, which is the goddess of the sea. And so you can see, like, I mean, oh, there's some Macumba going on over there, and look at all those white flowers in the ocean, and look at that, you know, it's called the despacho, the picnic blanket thing over there, and it's everywhere. There's statues in the city parks of the gods. So,
And you had that in the book, sort of the different perspectives of Macumba between Juliana and her friend Fernanda. Like there was different understandings of what was going on. So you represented that in the book as well.
Yeah, and I did, and I want to be clear too. Like, if I heard that somebody's going to take me on a deep dive into a culture that I don't know about, I would be like, oh God, I don't want to learn about it. It sounds boring, that kind of thing. And it's not a deep dive. It's kind of like,
no, not at all.
No, and Brazil in general is a culture that, I mean, they watch our movies, and they're a lot like us. They know all about American culture. I don't think we know anything about them. I used to think that Ipanema was in Japan, which, the girl from Ipanema, that's a beach in Rio de Janeiro. It just sounds like a Japanese word to me. And I also thought tiramisu was Japanese, just so you know, too. Doesn't it sound Japanese?
Yeah.
Tiramisu's Italian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ignorance, and but they know about us more than we know about them. And, other than, I guess, I think the big divide is that they speak Portuguese, and we speak English. Otherwise, we'd be flying to Brazil for vacations.
Right.
I mean, you sort of represented that too in the book. I can't remember if it was Angus or Nigel. Maybe it was Joe, the dad, when he was talking to Juliana, saying, like, the Brazilians won the World Cup. Do you like Pepe or whatever he said? Just like,
oh yeah, Pele.
Stereotypical thing, Pele. Yeah, just a stereotypical thing, like Brazil soccer. That's all.
Like we all know about. Maybe we might know like about the big Jesus statue,
the big Jesus,
in Rio, and
Rio.
Pele. Pele played for the New York Cosmos or whatever it was, and we all know Pele. And there's things and girl from Ipanema, that kind of thing. So you'd be surprised, like I was watching one of the Austin Powers movies, and there's a scene where he's going through Las Vegas, and the song is oh whatever, and that's a Brazilian song. Like there's a ton of stuff that we don't realize is Brazilian.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not a deep dive, but you can tell you had respect for it and did research on it to some degree, because as opposed to like voodoo sort of is a stereotypical like bad magic kind of stuff, but it's not really that. There's more to it than what you typically see in like movies and stuff as far as voodoo. So you can tell you were respectful with it without turning it into a textbook.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I don't want to have is a textbook. And it's really just like I try not to waste anybody's time with my writing. Like my chapters are short.
I love the short chapters.
Yeah, they're very short.
Yeah, thank you.
What there's like 233 chapters or something in here.
Yeah,
236.
Like it's a 441 page book, but it if I put them all, like let's say you put like an inch between the chapters instead of like half a page of white space, it'd probably be like a 200 page book.
It's like 2 pages a chapter, sort of what it equals out to.
Yeah,
which I'm not complaining.
No, like the freaking thing, like it costs like $6.41 to print. I'm like, damn it, like let's put the chapters one after the other,
William said something funny a second ago, though. You definitely misheard, as my heroine is Brazilian.
Well, that too.
That's where you get your drugs from.
Yeah.
He's got connections.
But like I could read whatever the word count is for this. I could read the same word count in a book that has like 50 chapters, and I feel like it would take me so much longer to read a book with 50 chapters as opposed to this one, even though it's the same word count. I don't know why that is. The short chapters, I feel like I fly through it a lot quicker.
Well, you don't have to like, immerse yourself. Like I feel the same way when I read a book. It's like, I don't know. I can't tell you how many times I'd be like, how many more chapters? I want to shut off the light or something, and
I do that. Yeah.
I have like a short attention span or something.
Do you purposely write short chapters?
Well, what I do is I I won't sit down to actually write until I have like a complete outline, and the outline is subject to change. But
Mhm.
I'll be like, okay, talk about Juliana when she finds out that she's gonna have to leave or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And then I'll look at all the. I try to have like say 150, just if I'm lucky, things to talk about, and those are kind of like chapters in a way. And I'll go, so all I have to do is like, I'll look up number 62 and I've written 61 of them already. And I'll say, what do I need to talk about in this one? Oh yeah. Da, da, da. And I'll just like think about just that one thing. So it's like a bunch of little essays instead of, a whole book. And then that's the worst step too. Like getting it's like putting the first coat of paint. You get all those words down. Then it's like editing. It's just editing, and editing is way more easy and fun for me.
Uh-huh.
And that's when you kind of critique the themes and like, does this go with that? And does this story arc, if you separate it from the rest of the story, would it be a good little story on its own, kind of a thing?
Mhm. With the editing, do you ever move chapters around like within the timeline of the book, or they usually stay sort of where they're at?
They usually stay where they're at, although I would say yes, they do. They stay where they're at. I haven't had. I've only had one editor, with MJ Pankey, and there was one chapter. She's like, I don't think you need this chapter, and it was the one where the kid with the soccer ball. I don't know if you remember that one early in the book, and I'm like, well, the kid with the soccer ball finds the guy from the first chapter, kind of a thing, and so I made a little argument. That might have been the only kind of like thing that I said, no, let's keep it. And she did. So, but other than that, I don't think we, unless there's a continuity error or something, where you're like, like I had in Hell on High, you got two storylines, two things going. You got Juliana, and then you have the antagonist, and they're both like parallel, and you kind of have to, and they intersect at some point.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure. And when I timed it all out, it actually doesn't really work. Like,
Well, I was going to ask, with all of these little thoughts and comments you have, almost like playing connected dots. When you go back to the editing part, when do you decide the order and how to make them start connecting to get to the conclusion area?
I think the order is done in the outline. Like I use a
Okay.
thing called Airtable, which it's basically like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's online, and you can, I don't know, it's just easy to sort. And you can insert something and then resort and reorder and all that kind of thing. So I do a lot of that, like to a point where I'm like, I can't even think straight. It's time to sit down and write, because it's never, that outline is never perfect. But once I like the outline, I know I'm not gonna like go off on a tangent and be like, oh shit, how do I end this thing?
Uh-huh.
I know how it's gonna end. I just need to like. Sometimes I'm in the middle of the book and I'm writing, and I'm like, wait a second, if I write that, it's gonna take it way away from the way I want to end it. So it's like it's part of that first draft, that first coat of paint that sucks.
Right.
And I'm in the middle of that with another book right now, and God, it's just I heard Paul Tremblay say it too. Like I met him a couple weeks ago. It's pretty cool. He's a great guy, by the way. If you ever get him on your show, he's one of the nicest guys that in horror writing that I've met.
Yeah.
And I asked him a bunch of questions about how Hollywood treated him, all that stuff. But he hates writing. He hates the writing.
He just likes,
can you imagine?
Just getting his story out there, but he hates the process of it.
Yeah, he hates that. I mean, maybe when he gets to the editing state, I don't know him that well, but I went with I met George Book Monster down there. So
Oh yeah,
with him
George is
and
great.
Paul Preston and Mike Sullivan and stuff, and
George's last name is just #1 Paul Tremblay fan is George's last name.
Yeah, and I got to have him introduce me to Paul, so it was just a pretty good day.
That's
pretty
cool.
good day.
So like you say you always know what your endings are going to be. So with The Patience of a Dead Man, when you start out, did you know it was going to be a trilogy? Because I think with the first book, even though there are some sort of loose ends, like it was a satisfying conclusion with just the end of the first book. And if the other books didn't happen, I still would have been satisfied. So did you know it was going to be
with the first book? You would have been satisfied.
Yeah, like there was still some loose stuff, but
Yeah,
it was a solid enough, wrapping up the ending that I would have been satisfied if there were never any more Patience of a Dead Man books.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a 80s movie cliffhanger in the beginning of that first book. Where like I'll just compare it to say Flash Gordon, if you ever saw that movie, where you know it's over and then Ming the Merciless reaches in and grabs the ring and oh, he's not dead. Oh my god.
It's like the Carrie movie where her hand comes out of the grave at the end or whatever.
It's like that. Yeah. But no,
So
I didn't do all three at once. What's that?
Okay. Was it always going to be a trilogy or?
No. It was kind of like I was going for Hollywood, like I told you, I wanted to be a movie, It's still my dream. I want my books to be a movie. So I did it one book at a time. I got the first one done. And then the second one was like, well, I'm going to have to, and I didn't know what the third one was going to be either. So no, I mean, I kind of did it one book at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I kind of figured out the Andrew character in the third book because he kind of saved that book, I think.
Yeah, you sort of left it open with he could maybe come back for a fourth book.
Yeah, I definitely have him in mind for a book, and I think it's going to involve drugs.
All right,
maybe heroin, right?
Heroin, yeah, no, like that fascinates me. I
mean, you got Williams' attention.
Yeah, he heard heroin. He parked up again.
Yeah.
No, I think like that's another thing that like the sunken ship or like the top of Mount Everest. Those are places, but people using intravenous drugs like terrifies me. Like I just can't understand it.
Yeah. Well,
he was probably asleep, and he's like, "What
right.
heroin?" Huh?
So, on the drug note, Brad, since Nikki's in the chat and Christina, I think she might still be here. Let's do the video. Let's do this. So we should set this up. Halloween.
You set it up, yeah.
Okay, so we had Michael Clark on the Halloween special. Have you done?
And I only had one banner at the time. Just so you know.
Yeah. Have you done
a Halloween so far since then?
That's
no,
one,
no,
right?
that was the only one we've ever done.
Right.
We did one Christmas special and one Halloween special, and they both ended poorly.
The Christmas one, we should wipe that one out of the whole.
Just delete it.
Yeah. So my kid did my makeup. Just say that my oldest daughter Lila did, and this paint, I don't know where the paint came from. It might have been paint for walls. I don't know. I think it was face paint, but I was losing oxygen at this point. So. Because it was rough, but the look on Mike's face, he was just like, "What the hell did I get myself into?"
No, I was not feeling that.
Like everyone is like dying laughing, and Mike chuckles like once.
Right,
it just is like deadpan serious, like the rest.
I love that.
This was a trivia time, right? We were doing trivia.
Yeah, here we'll play it a little further.
Tradition to the U.S.
Mexico? I don't know.
I mean, it's a country. I mean, it's not a country. Shoot, I'm dumb. It's
you are dumb.
The French. I can't figure it out, so we're just gonna skip it.
Did you mean what culture? Jay gets all slap happy. And Mike's like not impressed at all. Look at Mike.
I'm going on like 4 hours.
He's actually dying now.
Yeah. At this point,
now you need to apologize to him before he dies. For Jay's final breath, please apologize.
I can't. Forget it. Mind your business.
The pagans? Is that what you're talking about, Jay? The pagans?
I'm going to pass out here. It's getting hot.
I don't think your skin can breathe through all that makeup.
I know. You're probably getting poisoned.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
I will say, this is the funniest moment throughout all the episodes, though.
I think it was expired paint. You could use the same paint for your walls, right?
Yeah, the roller and everything.
Jay, what was the answer to that question?
Yeah.
Did we get to the answer? I don't know. And look,
get to
Mike is just like stone faced. Like, it's like he don't even move. I thought we lost
There's
his
this,
connection.
there's this chuckle,
His
and he's like
laugh
not
is
amused at all.
Oh man.
Like I thought he froze. I thought the video froze.
Did you all
really.
drink when I was gone? Like,
I think he's a little overtired, just a little bit.
Hey, I
everyone's
told you.
delirious.
I
He did
told
say
you guys.
he gets slap happy when he gets tired.
I told you guys ahead
Okay.
of time.
Woosa, Jay, woosa.
No,
He's crying.
here's the thing. When I give you the
Oh my goodness.
when I give you the answer, it's gonna be such a letdown. There's Mike's laugh.
not surprised.
Me and Brad's
What is
like,
the
this guy's
answer,
never
Jay?
gonna come back. By the way, Justin got it. Justin
What,
got
the
it.
Irish?
Irish. Oh,
Such-
thank you, Justin.
So
for saving
anticlimactic.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Yeah. And look, he came back.
Christina
everyone.
wasn't. She was doing what I was doing too. I mean, we were just enjoying the train wreck. I mean, the show.
Just train wreck.
Exactly.
It was absolutely a train wreck.
I was.
Shocked
I
that
was
any
having
of
fun.
it-
No, I was.
Shocked
having
that any
fun.
of you all ever talk to us again.
I know. Nikki left. Christina doesn't talk to us anymore, and we didn't hear from Mike for like 2 years later.
Way to bribe Mike.
I wasn't invited. I never turned you down because I didn't put any books out either. Why would you talk to me? Have we ignored anybody in the chat? I really like. I was talking
There was
for a
a-
while there. like,
Erica had a question earlier. I'll go back to it if she's still here. Let's see. That was about the music and stuff. No, that's not the right one. It was before that. Here you go. Speaking of creepy music, do you have a specific theme song for each of your leading ladies, Mildred or Renata?
I don't, but that's a good idea.
Mildred
Uh,
definitely needs some theme
Yeah,
music. What should
Mildred.
have?
Mildred would need. I miss Mildred. She was good.
She was good.
Yeah.
She was great.
You
She
could
was
always-
totally not what I was expecting her to be at all in the best way possible. And I
Yeah.
won't say anything other than that.
Yeah.
your next book could be a crossover. Mildred shows up in Hell on High Part 2.
Well, I put her in Hell on High, like in the early version, and Erica read it, and then I had to like, I knew I was gonna shop it to like a small press, and they don't want to, a continuation of something that's not theirs. I don't think. I
Mhm.
read that somewhere, so I was kind of like, I need to back that off. There's like two circles. One is, Hell on High, and the other one is Patience of a Dead Man trilogy, and they kind of touch,
Touch.
And there's a few houses in both stories, and
Mhm.
there was a time when Juliana went to the visited one of the houses, and somebody was very close by. I had to time that too, because the Book of Shadows is in both stories.
Uh-huh.
And
Spoilers,
Book of
Mike.
Shadows moves
gracious.
around.
Spoilers,
that?
Mike. Spoilers, Mike.
Okay, yeah, all right, maybe. Yeah.
When you started writing this one though, did you set out to have it be in the same universe?
I
as
did, and I
Batman?
don't know if I would do that again. I thought it was being clever, kind of a thing, but I didn't tell Brigids Gate or MJ Pankey that these are Easter eggs or that kind of thing, because I wanted to
Mhm.
pass the test and not have them go, whoa, we don't want it, we don't want this to be something related to your works that are not our works. So I didn't tell them, and made sure that this book stood alone. But if you like this book and you haven't read the other books, you might be pleasantly surprised.
Mhm. If no one's read any of your stuff before, what order would you have them read it in, since they are sort of connected? Do you think one informs the other better?
I
one
would
way or the
just
other?
go in the order I wrote them, I think. I mean, I
Okay.
still love my first book the best.
Mhm.
And maybe because it was cathartic for me, because, my divorce was tough. And, he's going through a divorce kind of a thing.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of, I think the idea that he's divorcing his wife. She's out to get him for whatever he does wrong.
I
The more
hated
she
her.
knows-
I hated her so much.
Well, the more she
She was
knows
such a
about him,
bitch.
she'll use everything,
Uh-huh.
against him and if she knows something, she's going to use it. So basically, he's in let's say a haunted house, and he has to take his kids for visitation.
Yeah.
And there's no way around that, because if you say, well, it's not really safe here, ex-wife, she's going to say, well, you ain't getting the kids.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
so that's kind of like, maybe a younger person wouldn't get that, or somebody that hasn't been married, or somebody that, you know, can't imagine somebody, you know, being so pissy, you know, like that. But yeah, you know, that was you know, that was a tricky situation for Tim in the story.
Mhm.
And you know, it was fun to write that one.
Hell on High, I guess it takes place, at least the American, once we get to America, it's a few years after the events of Patience of a Dead Man, right?
Spoilers, Brad.
Well,
That's not
no,
really
it's
anything
kind,
away.
it's kind of like pretty close, because she gets
Is it
there
pretty close?
in 71 or something, and I think Patience is in 71. So like, I really
Okay.
had to, like, in my Airtable spreadsheet thing, I had to kind of like mix the books together, you know, and
Okay.
like, well, I can't do that because this happens here, and you know, it was too much work, you know, like it was too much, and for whatever reason, I dated everything in my first couple books, which, you know, like March 5th, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, now I got to do that on March 5th, you know. So I try not to date stuff anymore. Word to
So you
the
learned
wise.
from that then, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So your writing has changed,
That's right.
like
He's
from
yeah.
the,
Keep it
from
simple.
the
Like,
trilogy to now. That's probably
yeah.
the big part, the big change. Okay.
Well, the thing about like Juliana in Hell on High is, like, you know, they climb 3 mountains in the book, you know, and
Mhm.
you can't just go, like, you know, you can't go to Mount Rainier on Thursday and Mount, you know, McKinley on Saturday and Everest on next Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you gotta acclimate, you gotta come down, you gotta travel, yeah, and then to match that with the antagonist's storyline,
Mhm.
like I said, it really doesn't work. But I don't think you're gonna notice. And in fact,
No,
I told that to the editor, and she's like, "Nah, you're fine."
I
But
don't think
I
people.
actually like plotted it. I'm like, doom, doom, impossible, doom, doom, impossible, and it doesn't matter.
Well, let's do a little, Brad. Since we're talking about mountains, let's do some trivia. You want to do
Do some
trivia?
trivia.
Yeah.
I don't think I told Mike what we're doing. We're gonna do some Mount Everest trivia and see how much
I
research.
love it. Do I
How
get
much you
to
remember?
answer, or am I?
Yeah,
on
you're
bottom?
answering because
Yeah, you're
I
gonna
didn't see the questions, so it's all you.
We'll do some Mount Everest trivia.
Beautiful. Damn it! Look at that production.
Damn, that's all our budget.
I love it.
So we got 10 questions here. I think some of them are. I know there's at least one that's you'll get really easy, but I think you'll probably have come across these within your research for the book. So first up, number 1. Who was the first climber to reach the summit of Mount Everest alone?
Alone.
Alone. So just a solo person.
Fail. I don't know.
Here, I'll give you some multiple choice. Tenzing Norgay, David Brashears, Reinhold Messner, or Peter Halber.
See, I would have gave you
I know the
three.
Brashears name, and I know the Messner name, but I'm just going to guess and say Brashears.
Brashears. Reinhold Messner was the first.
All right.
He was also the first climber to summit Everest without using oxygen.
That is insane. I mean, you
Without
are like
oxygen. Wow.
Without
it's
oxygen.
not only breathing either. It's like you are so much more susceptible to frostbite when you don't have
Mhm.
Oxygen. Like, it's just these people are like, you just don't understand what they're doing there. It's unworldly.
Like you talked in the book, when they were up so high, they were taking their mask off to like break the ice up and stuff. And that was just like, no, don't. Like, I know they have to do it because they can't breathe, but also exposing their face to the elements at that point just sounds horrible.
Well, the guy, there was a real guy that took his glasses off at the top, and he freaking burned his eyeballs and went blind, snowblind. You know,
Is that just from the glare, or was it because it was so cold?
ultraviolet light up there is just like way more intense. Ultraviolet
Yeah.
rays, or yeah.
All right, number 2. When did climbers first attempt to climb Mount Everest? In 1850, 1955, 1921, or 1898?
I'll say 1955.
It was 1921. It says Tibet opened its borders to foreigners in 1920. So a year later was the first attempt.
Good one.
And think about the technology today, what they have.
Yeah.
I mean, they have none of that.
Nearly 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I
over
did
100 years
read
ago.
It
like
was 100 years. Yeah.
they're starting to try to clean up the dead bodies on the western side. Like China and Tibet have pretty much done that on their side.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're starting to do that on the western side, and it costs 40 to 80 grand to get a dead body down.
Just
That's
one
crazy.
body.
One body.
How much was it in the book for them to go? It was only like, what was it, $4,000, $5,000?
I don't
to
remember.
go, something
You're
like
asking
that.
an old man. I don't know. I don't remember what I wrote, 3 days ago. But I don't know. It's something like 65 grand to go now, or more.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. How high is Mount Everest? 2,000.
29,029 feet.
Close. That's what you have it in the book, which was set in the 70s. So
It's grown since then.
29,028. Yeah, it has grown. So the correct answer is 29,035 feet.
I've never heard that number.
It says on November 11th, 1999, the new official height of Mount Everest was announced as 29,035 feet.
Huh.
Until that point, the official height of Everest had been 29,028 feet. So it grew 7 feet.
Way to debunk his book, Brad.
I wonder.
Why
No,
the paper cut?
he's got it right because this was 70s.
Okay.
And not till 99 it changed. I wonder if it was pushing itself up some more.
I lied about a few other things in that book too.
All right, number 4. What team was the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest? So, what 2 people? Was it George Everest?
Norgay and Hillary.
Yeah,
Hillary.
Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay.
Tenzing Norgay.
On May 29th, 1953, they were the first to reach the roof of the world. Their climb was made from the Nepalese side, so Nepal.
Yeah, Nepali. But nobody knows if George Mallory and Sandy Irvin summited.
Yeah, because they got lost, right?
They got lost. They found Mallory's body, I think it was, was it 99? And Google that, George Mallory's body. That'll chill you. They found
that might be a question coming up.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, you're good. Number 5. What was Edmund Hillary's profession? Was he a teacher, a physician, a beekeeper, or a professional tennis player?
Crap. I read his book. Like I said, I don't remember anything I read. You said beekeeper and teacher?
A teacher, physician, beekeeper, or professional tennis player?
It's either teacher or beekeeper. I'll go with teacher.
Teacher. He was a beekeeper.
Damn it.
This is, even though he became famous overnight, Hillary resumed his job as beekeeper when he returned to New Zealand. That just seems weird. A beekeeper.
In the pirated version, he's a teacher.
Yeah, he's a teacher. They switched it up.
It's the Wish version.
The pages will fall right out too.
Knockoff.
Number 6. Who was the first American to reach the summit of Mount Everest? Do you need multiple choice for this one, or do you know?
Yeah, I need multiple choice.
John Krakauer, Eric Weinmeier, David Brashears, or James Whittaker? I
don't really know. I'll say Brashears, but he was in the 90s, so no. I think Brashears was on the mountain in the 90s. So what is B and D?
Eric Weinmeier or James Whittaker?
I'll just go with Whittaker.
Whittaker's correct. He reached it in 1963.
I totally guessed.
Number 7. More than 200 people have died attempting to climb Mount Everest, and 1996 was the deadliest year. How many people died trying to climb the mountain that year? 8,
that
56,
year?
Just in 1996. Was it 8, 56, 15, or 23?
I think 11 died in that one storm. And just to give you a little background, 1996, my daughter was born, my second kid, and I remember hearing on the radio that I can't think of his name right now, but he's the one that was radioing his wife, "I'm going to die at the top of the mountain," which was just probably the beginning of my, writing this book. Just creepy as hell. And I'll say it's either 15 or 23, so I'll say 15.
15 is correct. It says in May of 1996, 8 people lost their lives in the single greatest disaster on the mountain, and the total for the year was 15.
That was 8.
8 in one single event, but for the year it was 15. So you got that one right.
Okay. I thought it was 11 on that day, but
And you in your book you said, and I don't know if you're accurate or not, you said it was like 27 or something back in the 70s.
yeah, no, I looked all that up. That's true.
So 200 people.
I think
died.
it's 300 now, isn't it?
Is it 300 now?
I think.
That's crazy. Why do people keep doing it?
And can you imagine if they're all up there?
That's crazy. Because do you know have
go ahead,
when you're researching, did people who died, did they bring any of them down that you know of?
They can't. They're just sucking
Just can't
wind.
do it.
No.
Yeah.
They can't do
That's
it.
wild.
And then there's this one part of the mountain between the south summit, picture like a mound, right? And then there's the summit, which is over here, like another mound. But there's like a knife edge in between the two of them.
Yeah.
And they have to cross this knife edge. And
you said the book was like a foot gap or something they're walking across.
And like if you watch the Everest movie, it's called Everest. I think that's where the postman dies. He's tired and he just missteps and gone a mile.
Off. That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. You'll get this one. This is easy. Mount Everest is part of what mountain chain?
Himalayas.
Yeah, Himalayas. Mount Everest is in central Himalayas on the border of Tibet and Nepal. Number 9. Tibetans and Sherpas call Mount Everest, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but you call it this in the book too.
Chomolungma.
Chomolungma. Yeah. What does that mean?
Goddess mother of the sky.
Yep. Sherpas are people of Tibetan ancestry who migrated to Nepal about 600 years ago. That's also would be if they migrated there. That's a horrible place to live. Just like up and like the little towns you were talking about kept going up and up. Like, why would anyone want to live there?
I didn't know they migrated there. But yeah, I mean, like, I recommend if anybody's interested in this, Mount Everest or anything like that, YouTube is so great. There are so many like hikes to base camp things, where you just see normal people, like this cute little couple. Hey, we're hiking them, base camp. Woohoo! Life. I think one of them was called like what? I think one of them is What Doesn't Suck. That's the name of it. Yeah. So they go everywhere, and this one episode is they hike to base camp, right? And they're like, every time the yaks go by, the guy goes, yak attack. It's like they're cute and they're having fun. And he's American and she's French, and she's got this little accent, and they're underline the word cute. And then they get to a certain altitude.
And they're like death.
I have a headache. I can't think, and they're not even at base camp, and base camp is freaking like 17,000 feet, which is the highest point of the Alps. That's the bottom of Mount Everest. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then from there, you go across this Khumbu ice fall, which is basically a moving glacier, and it moves about 1 meter a day. And on each side, there's like you're in a valley. There are hanging seracs of snow stuck to the side of the mountain that when the sun hits them, they are, unstable. And not only is the glacier is moving, and there's Google this too. Put this all in the notes, all these Google searches.
The show notes.
Everything.
Yeah, show notes.
Everything.
800 Google searches. There's a fast motion Khumbu ice fall. And it basically looks like you take a cup of like a slushy and you just dump it. It just goes. and it's that at a meter a day. So, and these people climb over it because it's, you know, that's how you get there. It's just
See, I am not interested in doing the actual mountain climbing. I'm more interested in what's going on through these people's heads that makes them want to go do the mountain
me
climbing.
too.
Yeah, that's
Adrenaline
what's
junkies.
fascinating me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll watch that crap all day, but I'm not getting off the couch.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see the view, but I would just not. I just cannot teleport there and then teleport back.
But
please.
it's but
Send a
watch some
drone
of
up
these.
there.
Watch
Yeah.
those like people that trek to base camp, and like I don't think you want to fuck the view. You know, you're gonna have a headache. You know,
I would be the one that would have a headache. It would be awful.
like
'cause
one
I get
guy.
dizzy
Like
really
there's
easy.
another one that's like two brothers or something. It's I forget what their name is. It's something like two brothers, and they they hike up there and they eat something bad. You know, because guess what? If there's not too many restaurants up there, you're gonna eat what they give you. And he gets food poisoning, and they're like, you know, unheated rooms, and you
The
know,
toilet's frozen.
I had a half a potato today, and it's hell on earth. I mean, and they're not even at the mountain.
No, Mike, it's hell on high. is
Hell
what
on
it
high,
is.
excuse me.
Hell on
Yeah.
high. All right, there's one
By
last
the way, I
question.
stole everything from that book from a book called High on Hell, and that's
Did
why
you?
it's been flagged.
You already know the answer to this one, but last question: whose body was found in Mount Everest in 1999?
Mallory.
Mallory. George Mallory and Andrew Irvin died on Everest in 1924. An expedition in May of 1999 found Mallory's body at 27,000 feet on the north side of the mountain.
And they never found Irvin.
In the book, you said they found like one of their boots or axes.
They found his
remember
axe.
which one.
Yeah, that's true. And they're looking for Mallory had a camera, and that would give proof if they summited.
They
Like,
summited or not.
yeah, but they can't find the camera.
I wonder if they did find it, if it would even still be salvageable at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's just eerie as hell. I mean, these ancient bodies, and there's a thing about it too. Like I tried to capture in the book where like they're hiking from like Camp 1, Camp 2, which is right after that dangerous Khumbu ice fall. So they're in this like valley that can get really hot, like 90 degrees.
Called it the room, or it's CMH or something. That's how you spelled it. Is that right? Is that the part?
Oh, it's yeah. What's it called? Coom, right? Coom.
Yeah. And you said it was pronounced like room.
CWM,
Mhm.
Coom. Yeah. And yeah, it can be like a microwave, and that's when you get your first real look at Everest. Like you can't really see it. It's so big. Like I tried to capture the scale too in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You're so close to the mountain that you see part of the mountain, but you can't see like that part of the mountain is obscuring the summit.
Yeah.
That's how
It's
big it is.
It's hiding itself.
Yeah, it hides itself. And then when you eventually do see it, like I had to I was like following videos, YouTube videos. This book took way too long for all this crap.
Well, if you didn't do it right though, someone would say, "Hey, this is not the right spot. This spot's over here." And
yeah, and of course I was having fun too. Like even that Lukla airplane thing, where they fly.
I've seen that before. That looks horrible. Absolutely not.
I know. That's on YouTube too. Show notes.
I was gonna say, we got just a whole glossary in the back where you got everything.
Just erase all the comments and put all the show notes.
I feel like the runway's like as long as my room here. It's like plane. Absolutely not.
Yeah, like you'll see, like there's people sitting right behind the cockpit, and they can see the pilots. You could take that plane over if you wanted to, and people film, through the front window of the plane, and you're like heading for a cliff. Like first of all, if you don't, there's a cliff before the runway, and there's a cliff at the end of the runway. So
if you're too low, you're crashing into the cliff.
Yeah.
And if you don't slow down, you're crashing into the cliff.
Exactly. So the whole
extreme
thing,
Mario level.
Not to mention which, when you land there, it took me like several years of Everest loving and what's the word? Just being addicted to Everest. 80 miles. You got to hike 18 miles to Everest wild. From this stupid place, like never mind. And then you got to climb the mountain. So it's just nuts.
Did you find yourself becoming sort of addicted to Everest through the process of this book? Just
I've been
researching about
addicted
it,
to
learning
Everest
about it.
since, like, Into Thin Air, John Krakauer's book, and
Uh-huh.
the 96 thing, probably, like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like a lifelong thing. The only, the thing that the early beta readers didn't get was, like, if you don't give a crap about Everest, kind of a thing, and then they don't care about getting there, kind of thing. I think they liked the book, but it wasn't The Patience of a Dead Man. It wasn't a haunted house.
I also think
different
it's not about Everest. It's about the people going there. It's about Juliana or Renata at that time and Patrick more so than it is the mountain itself.
That's true, like, and that's something I've had to learn too. Like, I didn't even know the definition of character driven,
Mhm.
like, and then I realized, oh, all these movies I hate are character driven. Like Manchester by the Sea or something, it's just like, like you're watching, like, what's going to happen? And oh, boom, there's the credits.
That
But
sounds
I
like
get
Jay.
it now.
Jay doesn't like character driven stuff. He's like, this is boring.
You
This
don't?
sucks."
No, I do. I got, but I mean, if it's interesting to me, it's gotta be. I gotta get into it.
Jay's
I
like,
was-
nothing
Yeah.
happened. This movie sucks.
No.
I think there's a perfect
totally.
balance though. Like, you
Yeah.
really, like, I've learned that I need to, it can't be all story, it's, you gotta like the characters.
Yeah,
Do
like
you
the-
think-
Everest is just the setting. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I mean, because you referred to a couple times where the beta readers were like, "This is not Patience of a Dead Man." Do you think maybe because you did the 3 stories of that, you people may have pigeonholed you into that kind of story, and now they're just shocked, don't know how to take this new direction?
Maybe,
Yeah.
but then, like, I also thought from another angle, like, what if I did write another haunted house,
Yeah,
And then what would you hear? I like this haunted house better than that haunted house,
Right.
like. So
or your natural neighbor, like, well, this isn't Hella High, right?
I hope so. Like, honestly, I'm super thrilled so far. Like, I'm getting great feedback, and it's heartwarming. It's like, it's great. I mean, like, and another thing about, like, you can make Christmas wreaths, and the first year, like, you're gonna, whatever. It's hard to sell them, but by year 3, you're the person that makes Christmas wreaths, and
Yeah.
people are gonna want your wreaths, that kind of thing. The longer you do something, the better you get at it, and you become known for it, kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
God, I started, like, giving away stuff. Like, I was almost, like, done with Facebook, and I am, like, on a personal level, but I kept my Michael Clark Books page, and they're
Yeah.
great. My God, they're so supportive, and they came, like, there's like an echo chamber first couple books, because nobody knows who you are, and they don't know if you're going to stick with it and that kind of
Right.
thing. But once you're, like, even though I haven't put out a book in 3 years, it was just heartwarming, to be kind of like, like, oh boy, and I remember, and like, just, it was awesome. What was that noise?
Oh, that's my dog barking.
Oh, okay.
Jay's house is haunted.
The day has been a pretty long month. Okay.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
So did you expect the sort of the community and the readership to come back after 3 years to support the new book? Or
No,
do you
like,
think that-
I even heard, like, Chad Lutsky say, like, there's a race to remain relevant. He said that in some podcast or something. I'm like, shit,
Mhm.
God, we don't need any more pressure,
just write shorter books.
Chad,
Write shorter
Chad
books.
releases like 5 or 6 a year. So
Yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
Chad's books aren't 400 pages. His books are like 100. So you could do 4 books a year instead of just 1 book every 3
Show me
years.
that book, Brad, because I haven't seen the damn book. Like,
This is a-
show me the thickness, and I mean the book.
it's the same as
how late
Dead
is
Woman
it?
I hope the cover is in black. I hope that's just an arc, because there's a beautiful wraparound here. Let me show you this.
So it's the same as a Dead Woman Scorned.
Dead Woman Scorned, though. Well, yeah, you have an early version.
Yeah, I've got the chunker version.
Yeah.
Picture this as the wraparound, because it's meant to be a wraparound. It was measured to be a wraparound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all.
Well, hold up. I remember
what the hell is wrong with us? Look,
you sent us these after the Halloween episode,
Yeah.
and you were like on the back. You were like, "Top secret, don't show to anybody." You
Yeah.
hadn't revealed the cover or anything yet. So this is how long you've had this cover. Was at least over a year or so.
Well, everything's been like just slow burn. Like my t-shirts. Oh, don't forget we're gonna do a t-shirt.
oh yeah, shoot, yeah, we
Like-
should probably do that.
Show the t-shirt.
But like I've been buying t-shirts for 3 years. Stocking up. Oh, there's a sale. Woohoo!
Heather said that's just the back for the arc, the black.
Oh, hey Heather. That's my publisher.
I think what Paper Cuts is going to do. We're just going to start hitting up thrift stores for T-shirts and putting our logo on them.
Erica, we had to be cute
Different
tonight,
colors.
Erica, and all match. But Mike's is smaller than ours. Me and Jay are large, and Mike's small.
Mine's like,
No, I'm an extra large, but
Oh yeah.
but I have a beta shirt. This is a
mine's a
beta
3.
shirt with a smaller logo. And
Let's talk about the logos.
oh,
It was,
okay.
Erica, agree. They are the best shirts. The like Under Armour material was totally expecting just Fruit of the Loom cotton T-shirt, but
No,
Mike,
I wear
there's
like
no expense.
I wear the they're not that bad. It's just I wear those like on a daily basis, not with a logo on them, but
Just wear your logo everywhere.
yeah.
Just have your name on it.
You just
Right
need your
here.
face on there, like giving a thumbs up.
I actually have a funny story. My wife told me like, okay, my birthday's February 12th. Happy birthday, Christina. And my dog's birthday is February 15th. And my cousin-in-law's dog, who is Renata, who was on the other video the other night, is February 10th. So my wife says, I'm busy. I'm a teacher. I'm going to school, and you have time today, and you need to go order your birthday cake with the dogs. So I go to the Market Basket, our grocery store, and I have a design, of me, a picture of me and 2 dogs on it. Happy birthday, Mike, Flash, and Bubba. And I give it to the woman at the counter, and I look down, and I
That's the longest thing I've ever
happen to be
heard.
wearing my
Yeah.
own shirt. Like it wasn't this one; it was a Patience of a Dead Man shirt. It says Michael Clark right here, right? So
That's the saddest.
he's
thing
like,
ever.
I know, it is. That's why it's funny. So she goes, what's your name? Michael Clark. Don't look at my shirt.
Just point to your shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lonely birthday with 2 dogs. Just give me my cake.
Play that sad walking away music.
That poor,
Yeah.
poor man. He's so
Yeah.
lonely.
Wow.
She either thinks you're very lonely or you're just very arrogant, full of yourself, wearing your own
Yeah.
shirt, your own face on your own birthday cake you're buying.
Well, this year, like I've like complained about that story like 4 times over the year. I milked it for all it was worth. And then Renata, my cousin, guess who she's named after, or who's named after her. She's like, I'm getting Mike's cake this year. Like,
Just
not
think-
getting his own cake.
Like after you left that day, just think how much they talked about you though.
And it wasn't
Maybe-
about my book.
Maybe they remembered your name though, and they checked out a book. Maybe.
Well, no, they're like, what the hell is Patience of a Dead Man? I gotta make a friggin' cake.
Do you want to give away? So we're talking about the shirts. and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Give away a shirt?
Yeah, because we're gonna wrap it up soon, so we might not want to forget to give away the shirt. People could
So-
be yelling at us.
Is it gonna be U.S. only, international? You care?
International.
International.
Oh.
It's only about $14 to mail it international.
Mike, think of something, a question, and we'll have people answer in the comments, and the best answer will get the shirt. And do it like that.
We'll put you on the spot.
Put you on the
Yeah.
spot.
Probably should have
Well,
told you
some
that
of the
ahead
people in
time.
the chat have shirts too. Like
Yeah.
Erica has one, and Heather has one, and William has one. LJ, I saw LJ too. Is LJ still here?
Who's here
Uh,
earlier?
Doherty.
Spoke earlier. I don't know
I'm reading
about
this
that.
book. It's a good book. I would recommend this book. I haven't finished it because it's been a hell of a week, but I like that book. Oh God, a question. All right. Oh God. All right. Nobody's read the book yet. There's a mountain in Hawaii. This is kind of a trick question. That is as tall as Mount Everest.
hmm
But part of it's underwater. Most of it. In fact, I think it's all of it's underwater. No, it's not all of it. It's the big island of Hawaii. What's the name of this island? And you can Google it. Go ahead. What the hell?
Google it.
Boom, 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 boom. I better not do that. We'll get blocked. We will.
Tick tock. And I have most sizes, so should be good.
Is that the correct answer?
Yes.
Leah.
Mauna Kea.
Leah Lindemann gets a shirt.
And
Well, I just
she's
send
in
me an
Canada.
email to Michael at michaelclarkbooks.com. And we have men's cuts, ladies' cuts, and then the size, and then your address. And I will mail it out.
Nice.
And thanks for showing up.
Leah's great.
She's in
Did
Canada.
you want me to? Are you trying to wrap it up? Because
No, I just didn't want us to forget to give away the shirt
Okay.
before we left. So.
because Brad asked me to pick out a passage to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna read the chapter that has my name in it.
All right.
No,
Oh, I thought we
No.
were
that's
going
that was the other Brad Proctor. That wasn't-
Damn it! You got me so excited, and then you crushed my hopes and dreams.
There's
I
all
thought we were
over
doing the
place.
final
Proctor.
chapter.
No,
just
I
the final wrap up chapter. We're not doing that.
Just the last sentence.
Yeah.
That's what happens at the very end.
And the butler did it.
And
All right, you want me to do that? Does anybody have any questions? Did we skip anything? I just want to I like to include the people.
These are how the shows are. We're just so all over the place.
Oh,
I think we're good. I don't think we skipped anything. I think we're caught up with everything.
all right. Damn, I made notes. Oh, here it is. Okay, just to set it up. All right. There's a character named Renata in the book, and she learns she's gonna climb Mount Everest. This is when before the climb, and she realizes that it's going to happen. Vilma is the name of her little sister, and her little sister is in danger back in Brazil, and she's trying to save money to save her. Most people probably know this, but a coyote is a person that is a human trafficker, basically, that gets people across borders. And Renata has realized that there are passport issues with her going to Nepal because she's an illegal immigrant in the United States. So that kind of sets it up. For the next 10 minutes, while Renata sat alone listening from the living room, forget that. She called in sick. There was too much to think about. Everest was now on the schedule, and she should start to look for Vilma's savior coyote, but needed someone to point her in the right direction. Maybe somebody from her apartment building could help. She lives in like a immigrant apartment building, or maybe someone in Phoenix. Renata's next call was to Beverly City Hall to arrange their private wedding, which turned out to be refreshingly easy. It would be this coming Thursday night in Patrick's living room. 3 people and 3 only: Patrick, Renata, and the Justice of the Peace. Head swimming, Renata left the townhouse for the public library to educate herself on the world's tallest mountain. The floorboards creaked as she reached the second floor. It was an old building, but quiet, as most people were at school or work. Renata found an empty conference table in the corner and claimed it. The entire room was, for now, hers and hers alone. Within an hour, she had 3 tall stacks of books to peruse. At first, she wasn't captivated. The reading was a bunch of statistics and very dry. Everest was 29,029 feet tall, even though Brad says it was 29 and 28. 9,000 feet taller than McKinley. There were 2 main passages up the mountain, one from the south through Nepal and one from the north through Tibet. Since she knew they were flying to Kathmandu, Renata concentrated on the southern route. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the first to ever summit in 1953, although it couldn't be proven that George Mallory and Andrew Irvine hadn't reached the pinnacle before they went missing in 1924. Renata also learned that other mountains on the planet could claim, via a technicality, that they were the highest in the world. If you measured Mauna Kea in Hawaii, it was indeed taller, yet over 29,000 feet of it, an entire Everest, was beneath the surface of the Pacific. McKinley was also taller if you measured base to summit. But all these facts bypassed the real point. The crucial statistic that separated the wheat from the chaff was distance above sea level. Altitude was king, and Everest had that in spades. Airliners typically flew at 30,000 feet, albeit with the luxury of pressurized cabins, and therefore breathing normally. Renata shivered, having found the reading she was looking for. The great mountain rose so high it penetrated the stratosphere. At times, the jet stream pummeled it. Winds could reach 200 miles an hour, enough to blow climbers clean off the slope. If that wasn't enough, there were spontaneous thunderstorms and the constant threat of avalanches. Renata flipped another page and realized her fears. On page 346 of the E volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica was a list of all the climbers who had died, and it read like an epitaph. Renata drew her hands back as if the book itself had died on the mountain. Seeing the names haunted her. Each of these people had set out with the best of intentions, yet ended up a cautionary tale. The first 7 had died in a single avalanche. Renata closed her eyes and imagined the horror of something so large, heavy, and inescapable. What would it be like to entombed under the ice and snow, immobilized, broken, upside down and backward? The claustrophobia alone chilled her. Could I hear them searching for me? Would I be able to cry out? Will I die in the dark, or does the light make its way down through? 3 climbers had died by falling serac. Renata had no idea what that meant, so she looked it up. It turned out that a serac was a block of ice found between crevices or attached to the sides of mountains. Seracs formed wherever ice was moving. The Khumbu Glacier was in continuous motion and constantly cracking, the chunks between being seracs, akin to frozen slices of bread slowly expanding. Seracs could be house-sized or bigger and were by definition unstable. Direct sunlight made them significantly more so, and they made noises as they shifted in the midday heat. Renata took careful notes. There were several other ways to die, the next of which was a very general term, sickness, which came in many forms: altitude sickness, pneumonia, cerebral edema, brain hemorrhage, and the very vague mountain sickness. Still more climbers fell off the mountain or into crevices. Exposure was a killer, the result of people getting lost and not being able to find their tents, and so forced to bivouac in the elements. The last category and the most unsettling were the people that simply went missing. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine were 2 of the most famous. Somehow, they'd managed to vanish on the tallest rock in the sky, and Renata didn't yet understand how that could be possible. Done.
Nice.
A literal cliffhanger.
Yes. Yes, you
I
get
waited
it.
all episode for that.
You get it.
In my notes, I'm claustrophobic because you're teasing me on Twitter the other day, but that would be a horrible way to die, just packed in snow and you can't get out.
I
Horrible.
swear to God, I thought of you when I wrote that chapter.
Appreciate it. Like truly, that would be one of the worst ways to go. Just being stuck somewhere and just you can't get out, so you just eventually get crushed or.
Well,
die
I
from
share
exposure.
that claustrophobia. There was like a 3rd grade or 4th grade thing where we're trying to like kick through a snowbank, like and make a tunnel, and then everybody taking turns like kicking, like putting, getting in there and kicking with their feet, and I was in there like my arms pinned to my body and I freaked out. And then I told the story the other night that I'll tell it here too. I searched the internet for like a real avalanche survivor,
Mhm.
and I found, like some Austrian, I don't know, like a ski area worker or something, a woman that was skiing down the mountain and then didn't hear the avalanche behind her, and then she's buried, and people were looking for her, and she's upside down and backwards, and she can see light, but she's buried. And then she has her cell phone in her breast pocket, and it's ringing, and she can't get to it.
That's awful.
Isn't it?
That's.
I'm like,
I guess they
suffocating
eventually
right now.
they dug her out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
No,
Yeah.
that's horrible. And usually the light messes with you because you don't really know if you're up or down, regardless of the light.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
I
may
mean,
be
I didn't know if it
digging
was
towards
dark.
the light.
You know, I didn't know, and then I'm glad I Googled it because you find out, details that you wouldn't have thought to write.
What a way to bring
Mhm.
down the show. We're all like, no.
That's good.
I know, but it's like such a downer. She didn't
The
know it's
good
gonna
news
go
is you
down.
can order the book now.
Is it on Amazon?
It's up, and Heather posted the details.
Is it all
Nice.
fixed?
It's not on Amazon, no.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No.
It's on Barnes and Noble and what bookshop? I think.
It's so fresh. My head is spinning. I was, I went out. I was walking the dog. It was 5:30 at night, and I'm emailing, Heather and the publicist Mickey, and we're talking about this company that pirated it, and looking them up, and I mean it's so recent. It's just ongoing. It's been a week.
Well, for those
lot
just
of-
joining us, we might as well go back to the beginning and start over. And I'm joking. We're not going to rehash it. We're not going to go through that again.
You know, just think about claustrophobia on top of a mountain now, and it just makes it 10 times worse.
It's
Stuck in the
horror, right? I
snow
mean,
at
it's
29,000 feet.
it's probably the worst kind of horror. Like we
Your
were talking about
next
that on the
book
other
should
thing.
be-
Heather says Barnes and Noble bookshop.
There
You
you
can
go.
get it. Barnes
Yeah.
and Noble. Let's
And
support
Kobo
Barnes and
Inscribed.
Noble. Damn it!
Kobo inscribed.
And shout out to Chance Forshee in the Bowling Green, Kentucky, the curator of horror. This guy is doing the Lord's work for horror authors. He has put his books in stores. John Lynch had put his first book out, and he got it in the store. I mean, he's just
Nice.
God. He is what we need. I mean, it's just proof it can be done.
There's another one in I don't remember where. I think it's in West Virginia. Another Barnes and Noble, and they are doing really good about getting indie horror too.
Oh yeah, I'm making a list. I'm getting
They have a-
organized.
They have a Twitter page too. I can't remember the name of the store, but they also do really good about
If
getting.
you think of it,
indie
please
stuff
send
out.
it to me.
I'll send
I'm
it to you.
literally working on a database, and it's bookstores. Swear to God.
It's not Barnes and Noble, but there's a
Whatever.
bookstore in Louisville called Butcher Cabin Books.
I've
Little
seen
indie
that one
store.
too. Yeah, with
They're cool.
the blood dripping down the side of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you ever come to Kentucky, Mike, we'll meet up. If you do a book tour.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean Kentucky's huge. I mean, it's you and Laurel and Beard and Chance.
We'll drag Beard out of the woods and get him to do something.
Yeah. I hope he's just taking a break.
I think he is. I think he'll be back.
Good.
I did want to say something though. You were on one of these shows the other day, and someone asked in the chat if there were maps in this one, and you said no. But a cool map would be like the base camp setup and how to get from base camp 1 to 2 and the different parts of the mountain, whether it was accurate or scale or not. I think that'd be.
I
cool
did
map.
have like images, and what I did was I borrowed pictures because I've never been to Mount Everest, right? So I was taking pictures and like photoshopping them and putting filters on them and trying to make them unrecognizable, and I put them in when I submitted them to Brigids Gate, and they didn't put them in the book, and I'm so glad they didn't.
That might be the copyright pirate issue. or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, but they're like, Mike, is there any reason that your book could be in copyright violation? I'm like, let me go through it. Oh, phew, they took out the pictures.
I plagiarized the entire thing. No, I'm just kidding.
That I did not do.
The other Michael Clark's books.
Well, when I put up Hell on High, like you click on Michael Clark, whatever, you're looking at Hell on High, you click on my name, and then Michael Clark has written 253 books. I'm like,
Is that really what it says?
yeah, 253, because my name is like John Smith.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They might just be talking about the chapters. Maybe they meant chapters instead of books.
That's pretty close. I think it's like 230, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So you said you're working on a new book now. Can you say anything about it, or is it still top secret?
I am.
was more claustrophobia stuff. It's about the
It's just called claustrophobia.
cave divers, and going to the little.
Oh, I hate that movie. Like for that reason.
Oh my gosh.
Let's
The,
take off my scuba tank and squeeze through. And
Yeah.
What's the movie? The Descent with all the women cave
yeah.
spelunkers. That movie's awful.
Me too. Me
I,
too.
I want to get into the minds of the mountain climbers and then the ones that go down into the little holes of the caves and
Nope.
stuff.
I hate that.
I mean, there's got to be something going on there.
Like my
Yeah,
wife
a lot.
watched the.
Because
My
I
wife
would
watched-
never do either one of those. I mean, I'm too claustrophobic. to do that.
No, I'm with you.
My wife watched the movie where they went to go like it was it Thailand where like the Boy Scouts got stuck in the cave because it flooded or whatever and they had to go
Yeah.
save them and they were squeezing through. I couldn't watch that movie. I had to get out.
I agree.
It was giving me chills.
Yep. I hate it. But what can I say about it? I will say that I was inspired when I watched an HBO show, and my story like is not about this, but I'll recommend it to you, and you may see similarities if when and if it comes out. But like Thomas Harris when he wrote Silence of the Lambs, and he's got the James Gum is like, hey, can you help me with this couch and load it in the van, and then he clubbed it. That's Ted Bundy. That's taken from Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
And so I watched a show on HBO, and it's called I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
That's
And
a great book too.
Did you read the book?
I did read the book. It was great.
Okay. Well, this is a documentary about the book, basically. And it's Patton Oswalt's wife, and she ends up dying of she took prescription drugs or something. And she was stressed about writing the book. I mean, she was like obsessing about this book. But this Golden State Killer, like this is before, police worked together and rapists were rampant and DNA and all this stuff. And one of the things that scared the crap out of me was he was first he was a rapist, and he would break into a home and then, catch people off guard. And not only would he do that, but he would break in the night before when they're not home and set it up. So he'd have ligatures under the cushions and stuff, getting ready to go, like just terrifying. And so he wakes these people up, and then he takes this is horrible, by the way, trigger warning about rape. I'm not going to talk about rape, but it's almost like both people got raped in a way to me. I won't be graphic, but he takes the wife, he puts a stack of dishes on the husband's back, ties him up on the bed and says, if I hear those dishes, I'm going to kill her. And when I heard that the first time, I was just like, what would I do? I told my brother, he goes, you know what? He's going to hear the dishes, and I'm like, yeah, that's the only way out of it. And you might both die, but horrible. And this whole, I recommend the whole miniseries, because it's just, if you like true crime, and I'm 57, you know how old people like true crime. I'm getting way into that. Anyway, it's kind of loosely based on that, but I put supernatural stuff in there too, and I'm not, and there's no rape in that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the miniseries, but the book is fantastic, and the book is sort of what inspired like the online detectives to kind of run with it. And eventually they caught the guy. But it was like a couple years after she died, they eventually caught him. And I don't feel like it's been too long ago. They actually caught the guy who did it all. He was like in his 70s or 80s or something like that.
And it's amazing how they caught him. I mean, it's
how long ago? She just died a couple years ago, right?
About I will say like 2015 or something.
Something
maybe.
like that.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, because it still seems fresh. So
it's her name's Michelle McNamara, by the way.
Yeah.
If people don't know who we're talking about.
Yeah, she's Patton Oswalt's, or was Patton Oswalt's wife, who's the Ratatouille mouse, and
she died in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I watched it like 3 times. Like, it's just.
I'm sure the book is very similar, but if you ever decide to read the book, it's fantastic. It's real. It's super. When I was reading it, I would like nothing really bother. Like horror doesn't bother me. It doesn't really scare me. I just enjoy the monsters and all that kind of stuff. But this book had me locking my doors at night and making sure they were locked because it's really freaky.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe I had never heard of the Golden State Killer, and it's because he was moving around. He was the East Area rapist, and he was the original Night Stalker, and he
Mhm.
kept moving, and the cops didn't talk, so he was free to roam. Scary.
He did it for so many years, and then he was dormant for however many years until
Yeah,
finally.
and he had kids in the meantime. Like he had kids when he was dormant.
It's
like,
wild how long it was before they actually caught him.
yeah, and the way they catch him, I won't give that away, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, it was like something super innocuous, just like something everyday, normal kind of thing.
Well, it's I'll just say it's the DNA testing, like,
Yeah,
and he never had a DNA test, so I'll leave it at that. Like, they're using our data for stuff like this. If you had a DNA test, that means they can catch your uncle if he's a murderer.
and they might have taught in the miniseries. Was he a police officer back at the time when he was
Yeah,
doing
he
all
was
that?
a
I can't
police
remember.
officer for a while. Yeah.
So he knew all the routines and all that stuff.
Yeah, he was I just can't imagine like being this person like that just would like study people and get to know them and plan it out, and then catch people at their most vulnerable and just ruin their lives.
Because he progressed so much. Because originally he would just break in and just watch them at night. That's all he'd do, and they would escalate to other stuff and then murder.
Yeah. And there's one couple that there's only one couple that stayed together in the whole thing, and God, your heart breaks.
Yeah, it's horrible stuff.
So is that a good high note to end on, Jay?
Well, no, now I'm thinking that I locked the front door. I mean,
I know. I'm not even lying. When I was
Yeah.
reading that book, I would make sure, like, double check my doors every night. It was seeping in. It was bothering me.
Well, one of the girls was playing the piano, and that's where they got the title. And I'm spoiling it, so if you go ahead, I'm sorry, but this thing has kind of like, I do obsess over things, and this is one thing. But she's playing the piano, and then he comes up behind her, and says, "If you scream, I'll stab you, and I'll be gone in the dark." And then things get worse, and then she never played. Mama's home.
I wasn't mine that time.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, she never played the piano again because she was afraid to like put her back to the.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, now that we freaked out everyone listening, and
Hold
everyone
on
in
one
the
second. Amor! Okay.
So you're doing sort of the true crime
Amor,
serial killer with some supernatural. So you seem to like this is supernatural kind of your thing, because all your books have supernatural stuff. Is that kind of what you gravitate towards?
Well, like as I may have said, like two of my favorite movies are Sixth Sense and then Silence of the Lambs. And Silence of the Lambs does not have supernatural in it, but I like supernatural. And sometimes I wonder if I'm like, crime books make more money, but I still like ghosts. So I think I got to be me. And I have an idea to put supernatural into it. And, I have an idea for it. So, and I have the whole outline done.
All right.
Nice. So we can look forward to that in 2026.
You know what? I don't think it's going to take that long.
That take long. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Well, which version? The hijacked bootleg copy or the real one? Oh, is it too early? I'm
well,
sorry.
the bootleg will be out like before I'm done writing.
I know. It's out now. Once this wraps up,
It's out now, and half of the pages fall right out of the binder.
Yeah. Was that too early? Sorry.
The wound is still fresh, Jay. It's still going on.
You do.
No. Honestly, Heather and Steve have been great, and they have taken all the heat. Like I've just been sitting here, like I don't know, doing things that the publicist wants me to do, and tweeting. Like I've never tweeted so much as last night. Like I've never had so much attention. So it ain't all bad, like. But Steve has to deal with Amazon, who is like talking to a piece of wood. It's like
it's not even that. It's talking to yourself is basically what it is.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's even worse. It's worse. It's like somebody's there and they just ain't listening. I don't know.
I will commend you though, because you seem super, super cool and chill and level-headed about this whole ordeal. And if it was me, like Jay said, I would just be through the roof upset.
I just feel like,
Maybe you're just holding it all in though. Maybe you're just gonna explode when the camera
No,
goes
I-
off and you turn Twitter off.
Here's what you do. You just pretend it's last week. I don't have a book coming out this week.
Last
It's next week.
But I will say, I don't know.
He's just holding it in. He's compressing it down below, and
No,
it's
you-
going to explode. And it's
That's what the
gonna-
next book is going to be about after the one he's writing is about Amazon messing somebody up, and the author goes on a killing spree. He's just rampaging.
exactly.
I'm actually thinking of writing a book about a guy that he dresses as Batman and he takes a bat to Amazon headquarters.
His name might be Steve, right? That's his Bruce Wayne name. is
Maybe.
Steve.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's a good place to wrap it up before we get into any kind of incriminating future
Yeah.
issues with.
We'll cut out
somebody
this
big as
last 5 minutes
Amazon.
of it.
Almost 2 hours. I thank you for everybody hanging out because that's a long time. That's a Friday evening, and
Mike,
I
where can people
appreciate it.
find you? Socials. You're on Twitter. You
Yeah.
got a website. All that.
First
fun
of all,
stuff.
if anybody wants any swag, I mail it out worldwide. So if you want one of those, it's free, and I just need an address. And I don't
Mike
have,
is the king of swag, guys. King of swag.
and it's free. I would say like Michael at Michael Clark Books. I also have a. Oh, that's
It's
what
not
I'm looking
showing
for,
up.
Jay. Yeah,
Let's go. I got a glare there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can get the glare out.
it's sleek.bio
Bio. There we go.
Swag.
/ Michael Clark Books.
Yeah.
Sleek.bio.
and that's all my link. There it is.
There we
That's
go.
it. That's it. Yeah. And then
All your
that's
links
kind-
are in the
that's kinda like
description
a-
as well.
That's like a similar
Perfect.
to like Linktree or something, right? I mean,
It's
it was like
Okay.
it was one I pay like a one big fee, and it's like I can decorate it how I want to and whatever.
So your website and Twitter and Instagram, they're all in the
Yeah.
description too.
Yeah. It's a little slow to load, but what do you know?
well, Mike,
Erica, thanks for coming. You're the best.
we really appreciate you stopping by even after the Halloween episode. You know, still talking to us.
I
after that.
like that. No, no.
I was having fun.
Yeah. So that's
Glad,
gonna.
glad
that's gonna do
somebody
it.
was, Mike. 'cause
I'll
I sure
come
wasn't
back
having
anytime.
fun.
Well, Brad, I will shut this down. I will shut the show down. I will
Mike will be our
collapse
new
it.
Mike will be the new co-host.
We'll see what happens. We'll see.
You're gonna miss Jay. You would. He's funny.
I would cry in a corner. I'd be sad if Jay left.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna send him a message like, you know what? I've had enough of the show. I'm done.
We'll make Paper Cuts 2.0. I'll have somebody else be the co-host.
You get like a real interviewer or something. So, all right.
Thank you, India Chords. I just want to say she's been tweeting quite a bit.
Yeah.
Here.
Everyone in the
Honest.
chat, thanks so much
She's
for
been-
stopping by and
She's been
and
recommending your
listening to us.
books for a long time.
Thank you.
Not everybody can make it through 2 hours of us rambling about stuff, so we really appreciate
Right,
it.
right.
You're all troopers.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. So yeah. So
I
look
had
at
fun though. I think we make a good team. I think we're no lack of conversation
right.
And 1.5 of us are funny.
Right. Definitely. It's definitely not
I
me.
won't say which one.
Yeah. the book's available now at the more reputable places. I guess we can
Barnes
say.
and Noble. Buy it at Barnes and Noble. Get it at Barnes and Noble, guys.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble. Go to Barnes and
Get
Noble.
it. You can get it on your Nook. Is that still a thing? The Nook through
I
Barnes and
don't
Noble.
know.
Kobo and
Their version of
Kobo. I
The
don't
the
know.
Kindle.
reader.
Now I
Yeah.
wish I knew.
I don't know. All right.
All right.
That's a wrap. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Mike,
for having
thanks
me.
for coming on. We appreciate it.
You mind
I hope your
Anytime.
pirating
Maybe
issue
Patrick Wave.
gets sorted out. No,
Yeah.
Queen Wave.
for Michael Clark and Bradford over there.
Bradford the third.
Thank you very much. Paper cuts.
Love you, Jay. Thanks,
I
Mike.
know you do.
Peace out. Thank you.